Hello everyone, this is Spencer Snowling from Hydromantis, and I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar where we will be discussing the new version of GPSX, version 6.2 that we released just last fall. So my name is Spencer Snowling. If I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you before, I'm the Vice President, Business and Product Development here at Hydromantis and been involved in developing GPSX for over 10 years now, and so we're very excited to be able to bring you new version 6.2, and what my plans are for today's webinar is to sort of go through some slides, talk a little bit about what the new features are, what the new models are, and what is going to be available to you. And then I will demonstrate that on my desktop, run a couple simulations, and then answer some questions at the end. So if you have any questions along the way, please type them in the questions box that is available on your GoToWebinar dashboard. And I'll save those to the end, and we can hopefully keep it to 30 minutes today. Today's webinar is going to assume that you're a little bit familiar with GPSX, and I'm going to be sort of popping here, there, and everywhere, demonstrating a number of different things. So, so anyway, let's get started. So GPSX version 6.2 was demonstrated and released at last year's WEFTech conference in New Orleans. So if you're a regular user with our maintenance contract, you would have had your new version shipped to you by this point. If you feel that you were expecting to have that and that has not arrived for you yet, please just let us know. So as with each new version of GPSX, when we put out a new version of the model, we focus on trying to update the software interface to make it easier to use and to bring you some new simulation tools, and also to update the models themselves, and so that you have new tools available for you to simulate different types of wastewater treatment systems. So I'm going to first start talking a little bit about the software interface side. So we have done some work on our drawing board system, improved the ease of use for being able to lay out a model and work with something that's a little bit more complex. We've made some new graph types. We've had better data handling features. And at the same time, on that wastewater model side, we've added some new objects. If you open up the process table on the left-hand side of the screen now, you'll see a few new objects there. And I'm going to demonstrate these, such as the Struvite Precipitation reactor and the open high-purity oxygen model a little bit down the road. And we'll also talk briefly about our new carbon footprint library that has greenhouse gas models in it as well. So on the improved software interface side, we have the ability now to, once you've laid out your model and put the objects together, to move the connecting lines around. This is something that people have been asking for some time. We've also added some new functions to our scenario functionality so that you can have a little bit better organization of that information within your scenario menu, and also to be able to work better with data. So you can attach a specific file to a specific scenario. And we've also allowed a little bit more flexibility now in terms of how you specify the names of your GPSX files and how you attach them to the particular scenario where you want to be able to use them. We've added a state point analysis graph for our secondary clarifiers, and I'll show you that shortly, and a new table function, which allows you to create a table of concentrations or sort of any parameter value that you'd like to be able to plot throughout your layout. You can select areas that you'd like to be able to display something, and that's assembled for you. I would have to say this is probably our #1 new thing that we're getting feedback about that I know you'll probably want to start using right away. Also our new model developer for those who have the advanced package. If you would like to be able to get in there and edit that model matrix, we've now replaced our old Excel spreadsheet system with a brand new tool. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is pop over to my desktop here and just demonstrate some of the new features of the software. First of all, as I mentioned, you have the ability to sort of move these lines around now. So for example, if I really wanted to change the way that the model looks by moving a few things out of the way, I can do that now. This is something that people have been asking for quite some time. The more complex your model is, the more objects you have in it. You quite often have things that cross over each other, and now you have the ability to start moving things out of the way and reorganizing how your how your model looks and being able to make it look a little cleaner as you move along. Okay, so I'm going to pop over now and talk a little bit about things such as our scenario organization here. So I'll just finish letting that build. So now where you would typically come down here and select from either your default scenario or some other scenarios that you may have put together, you'll notice now a new configuration menu here. So if I pop that up, you'll notice now that you have the ability, first of all, to reorder your scenarios. So previously they were always listed in order that they had been created. So now if you have a few that are of lesser importance, you'd like to just move them to the bottom of the list. All those ones that you want to be able to access easily can be accessed at the top just by moving things around here. Another feature that is extremely handy, and I've been using quite a lot now in my past couple of projects, is the ability to set data files specifically for a particular scenario. So you pop up that data file button there and you can hit add, and then it brings up a browser where you can browse to your data file that you have already prepared. Now within that data file we still use that GPSX structure of putting the names of the variables at the top, and then you have your time series of data below. But now you can just browse to that. It can be anywhere actually on your computer in any folder. We don't have to follow that rigorous structure that we used to have. So once you've added that, you've browsed to it, you can go back and add more of them. You can specify what you would like to do in terms of this particular layout and do that for each of your scenarios. You can even come in once that's been specified and edit that file. So this is a new file editing feature within GPSX that now allows you to handle that data fairly nicely and get everything up and running to your content. So I'll also mention our state point analysis now. So I'm just going to run a typical simulation here, our default scenario, and our long-standing carbon-nitrogen demonstration layout that we've had for many versions of GPSX. And if I go to the clarifier object, right-click, and go to the state point analysis menu item underneath output variables, you'll see our new feature here. This is a new graph, and we can output this directly to an Excel spreadsheet. And now it's plotting this state point analysis as well. You specify sort of what concentration you want to draw your boundary at there, and then all of the other information is picked up directly from the variables in the model. So if I'm running a simulation here and I'm changing the amount of flow that's going through that particular system, as I'll do here in one moment, once that's running, you can see here that the model picks up those numbers right away, and it responds to the different fluxes as we have different amount of flow going through that clarifier. So that's updated continually all the time. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the table function, and as I mentioned, this is the one feature that we added in terms of the software that I think is the most useful right out of the box. We have a new button here at the top where you would add new tabs. So up here at the top, if you click on this new table tab, you will be prompted first of all with a list of all of the stream label connection points in your layout on the left-hand side here, and then a number of things that you can plot in a table for those connection points on the right-hand side. So, and you can do that either for concentrations, or you can do it for process variables that would be the other types of things that you calculate for each one of the objects, and it differs from object to object. So I'm just going to start with doing a typical table of concentrations all the way through the plant. And just to show you the functionality here, I'm going to select only the influent, the aeration basin, and also let's do the outfall as well. So what that's going to do for me now is make a table of all of these concentrations on the right-hand side here at these specific connection points that I want. So once that pops up, you can see here that this table is now showing those concentrations. I find this to be very handy. Now you can sort of condense. I mean, you could always get at this information before, and you could assemble your own digital graphs to do this. This is in addition to all of that, which we still have. You can make these tables very nicely now, and of course you can pop them out directly into an Excel spreadsheet right away, like this one here, and I'll show you that. So that information can be directly exported in a nice format that you can put into a report right away. Okay, so I'll briefly mention Model Developer while I'm here as well. This is a tool that is really for people who are doing advanced activated sludge model development down to the level of editing the equations that describe the different types of biomass growth and hydrolysis and conversion of nitrogen and carbon, and want to be able to make edits to those models such as ASM1 and ASM2D and create their own models. So this is a tool that we always have had in the past in GPSX. It was a spreadsheet that allowed you to generate new code and new models right in our software. We have now rebuilt this, and it is now the new version that we're using in-house here at Hydromantis. And you can see, first of all, you can pick from the libraries that are available. You can then go to different stoichiometric matrices here by selecting amongst the ones that are available. You can see ASM1, 2D, and so on that are here, plus a few other ones that I've been working on for various projects here recently. And once that's done, you can now enter in new stoichiometry. You can create new rows and columns in the stoichiometric matrix here. You can add new saturation and inhibition terms and any other types of additional rate equations that you would like. And, of course, all the model parameters. So that's automatically listed here. You can add and remove from this list, change the default values, include temperature dependency, all that kind of stuff that is normally part of GPSX. You can come in and edit those things. And when you generate the model, it can do that for all of these different unit process objects. These are pretty much all of the ones that are in the suspended growth and attached growth panels of our process tables. So these are all new models that you can create at your heart's content. So that's part of the advanced package only. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is just show you a little more detail about some of the models that are new to this version of GPSX. We, as I mentioned, created a new Struvite precipitation reactor. This is available at the time right now only in the Mantis 2 library. It's part of the side stream object group. It's basically there to simulate the precipitation and removal of struvite. It's based upon our granular bed reactor. We have a new HPO object. So as you may recall, we've had for some time a closed high purity oxygen system, so an open activated sludge tank with a headspace and a closed lid on it. So we now have created one that's the same thing, high purity oxygen, but it is an open system. So it's a floating injection where the HPO gas feed is being injected and mixed directly down into the liquid. We also have a few new tool things that we've added to our toolbox that will hopefully make it easier for you to do things such as scheduling intermittent wastage, to do things where you have flow splitting and pumping activity that is intermittent. So we have a new toolbox model called the scheduler. We have an updated new version of our timer model. And those are there to sort of be able to be a little bit more flexible and in GPSX and get it to simulate as close as possible to the way that your real plant is operated. We have a new SRT definition function as well. So as you may recall in the past, if you wanted to plot the SRT of your plant and how that may change with different operation, you basically clicked on a number of objects in your layout and defined what the SRT was. We've now basically taken that and taken it one step further where you can define multiple SRTs within one particular layout. So you can do an anoxic SRT and an anaerobic SRT and so on. And when you use plug flow tanks now, you don't have to include the entire plug flow tank into your mass calculation. You can just select individual reactors, and that's lending itself nicely to defining different types of SRTs for different conditions. And lastly is our new carbon footprint library in our greenhouse gas models. They are going to be able to estimate the scope 1, 2, 3 emissions and offset calculations. We have a new full N2O emissions model in this. This is now its own new separate library, which is an additional module in GPSX. So I'll just take a quick look at these for you. This Struvite precipitation reactor, as I mentioned, it's available in Mantis 2 in the side stream object. It's based upon our granular bed model, and I'll just quickly show you a layout that comes on the CD. And you can see here in this particular layout, as we're taking our high concentration flows off of the dewatering, we have some pH control and adding some magnesium to be able to specifically precipitate out struvite. So if I look at the details here, we can see that it's doing both the precipitation chemical reactions in this object as well as the solid separation through that bed, all in one step and all in one model. You have the ability to define its physical characteristics, such as its height and cross-sectional area. Places where you may have a recycle happening, you can do that as well. You can define the characteristics of the bed, so therefore that will tell you how much kind of solid separation you're getting. And so we can see here, for example, with a small amount of flow being taken off the bottom of this reactor, we have quite a large concentration of struvite coming out because we've precipitated it out. We've concentrated those solids, and we're getting about, from this table down here, almost 3.5 kilograms a day for this fairly small reactor of struvite removal. Okay. Our HPO model was created during this past year for some projects that we worked on. We actually presented a paper about this at WEFTEC. If you refer back to the proceedings, there's quite a bit more detail there about that model. This now matches a new model that we've also added to our ToxChem package, this sort of open HPO basin. One of the interesting aspects of this model is, in addition to doing the biological modeling and the obviously the oxygen transfer modeling as well, we have added a full temperature model to this. This is really the first model in GPSX where we are modeling enthalpy. So you'll see when you look through the detail of that model that you've got the opportunity to, as usual, specify the size of the reactor and its operation, including the properties of the feed gas. And in addition to that, you can also see how the behavior of that model, including the biological workings and also the physical, mechanical energy being imparted to that system, how that's going to affect the temperature. So if you come to our sample layouts menu, we have a layout that demonstrates that specifically that I'm going to run for you right now just to show you a quick demonstration of it. So this is available in our Mantis 2 library as well. I'll just wait for that to come to convergence. There we go. And we can see here that in this particular case that, this model is designed here to do full nitrification. Let's see, are we getting, yes, we are getting full nitrification in this particular model. It's pretty straightforward. Example, if you look in here, you can see the temperature modeling parameters as well. And so it requires a little bit new information that we've never included in models in GPSX before about heat transfer through the side walls of the reactor and so on. And you can also look at the output here. Temperature modeling parameters, you can see what our predicted temperature would be. And of course, this is going to be, for this particular example that we made here, this is quite a hot one running at 45 degrees Celsius. Okay. I'm going to just touch on our new toolbox models as well. So if you drag a toolbox object onto the screen, you may remember that we have, this is sort of a collection of other little tools that we use in GPSX to make the plant work in the same way that it does in reality. So this is places where you would find controllers, on-off controllers, PID control loops. This is where a PID forward, P-forward loop is. You have a sampler here that you can set up in your layout to act like a real composite sampler. And we have this new scheduler, as I mentioned, that is there to be able to allow you to change variables, operational variables, within GPSX very easily. And you do that as a series of phases. You define, by example here, we're showing that we have 8 phases. You can set the duration of those phases, and then you can specify up to 5 variables of several different types here by typing in their variable name here and what value you would like to be able to set them to. So you can set 5 flows, you can set 5 split fraction variables, and then 5 of any other variable that you like. And that will allow you to do things like, for example, if you have a system that is a batch system and you're sort of feeding one tank for a period of time and then feeding another tank and then another tank, if you have SBRs, for example, this is very handy to be able to schedule those phases, have a number of pumps turn on and off, and flow splits all change together at the same time. So this is very handy, very sort of open-ended. You can do a lot of interesting things with it. I will also briefly mention our new flow timer. So you may have used the timer in the past where it was you specified an overall cycle time, and then you said I want a value to be on for 2 hours at some value, and then I want it to be off for 3 hours and set it to 0. This is more or less the same kind of thing. You specify your overall cycle time and how long you want it to be on during that time. But rather than specifying the on values and the off values, you specify the range of manipulated variables, or the range, what you would like that average to be over that cycle. The reason this is very handy is if basically you're saying to yourself, I would like to waste a certain amount of sludge from this tank over a certain period of time, and I know that I'm going to do it over a couple of hours each day, and I know I want that overall mass to be a certain amount. This will do that in a very straightforward way by allowing you just to specify what you want the average flow to be out, and we'll calculate what the rate amount of flow should be for the given on time that you have provided. And lastly, I will show you very briefly here, going back to our standard carbon and nitrogen removal layout, what our new SRT calculation looks like. So here you can see normally you would come up to our define function, you would select the SRT option and turn define mode on. Now it pops up at this new menu where it defines what that equation is, and you can go and start adding new SRT values if you wanted to have multiple versions within a layout. You'll also notice that when you click on something like a plug flow object, now it asks you for which reactors, or if you want all of them, to be included in the mass calculation. In addition to that, anytime you define an SRT, we automatically include the option to make a controller out of that. So you can turn this on and provide which one of the wasting connection points in your layout could be used to control that SRT, and you set a set point value, and then this SRT controller runs along and changes that flow as required to keep the SRT in mind. So that's a new, slightly updated, slightly more functionality version to our SRT definition. Okay, so I'm coming back to the slides here. I'll pop through there and mention very briefly our GHG and carbon footprint library. Now I'm only going to show you a couple of slides here because this is such a detailed new addition to GPSX that we are going to hold an entire webinar on it by itself later this month. So this is a new library that we have created that includes the type of modeling that we've always done in GPSX, but now we've overlaid that with a number of other calculations, a new N2O emissions model, and then calculations for doing scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions and offsets. So we're starting with the underlying framework that we've created over the last couple of years in the development of our Mantis 2 model. We implemented the new N2O model and then added other information here. So for example, in the scope 2 emission, where I want to know exactly what are the emissions associated with the energy usage, we now have databases of information for different types of energy generation, for example, and those are all available now within GPSX. You can then plot out things such as the gas emission rates and the energy consumption, and then get an entire table of scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions. So I know that was very fast, but I'm going to leave that for a whole separate webinar, and I invite you to come to our website after we're done here right now and click on and register for our GHG carbon footprint module webinar that's going to be on February 26th. So I think I'm coming close to the end of my 30 minutes here. So what I'm going to do is just wind it up here and say that version 6.2 turned out to be quite a very significant upgrade from version 6.1. We included quite a lot of really fantastic new software functionality. I should pass on my thanks to the programmers, Bruce and Greg, who really did an excellent job of updating a number of things that, we're responding to our clients where we wanted to be able to do different things and do things easier. We fixed up that drawing board. We have the new scenario management and better data handling methods. And then along that side, of course, we've added our new models, the new objects, and the new GHG models and library. So that's sort of the end of the webinar today. I'd like to mention a few things that are going on at Hydromantis right now. You may have heard or had a chance to visit us at the WEFTEC conference last fall about our SimuWorks package. This is basically creating an interactive dashboard for your GPSX model. So if you are at the point where you have a model that's calibrated and running well and you'd like to be able to deliver that to your client, but not necessarily have them learn how to use GPSX, we can put a different customized front end on it. So here's some of the examples that are a few things that we've been doing lately for different clients. As you can see, every one of them is different from the next one. This is some of the style of what we've been doing just in the past year, a top-down view of a plant and being able to plot model results right on top of it. And we can, in fact, even mimic an entire SCADA system. This is an example of the model for the SimuWorks interface for the plant here, Woodward Avenue plant in Hamilton, Ontario. And this one actually works exactly like the SCADA system that they use at the plant. So it can be used for training operators, except they're running the model instead of interacting with the real plant. We are continuing to offer our online training workshops, both for GPSX and for ToxChem, and they're done through this type of webinar service. And we have two upcoming webinars that I'd like to tell you about. First one on February the 14th. That's going to be on using ToxChem version 4.1 to estimate and report air emissions and also contaminants from wastewater. So you can click, go to hydromantis.com and click on the webinars tab to register there. And also, as I mentioned earlier, our greenhouse gas module for GPSX that's part of version 6.2. We're going to have an entire half-hour webinar just on that particular model, and discussing that on February 26th at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Again, go to the webinar tab at hydromantis.com to register. Okay, so that's pretty much my 30 minutes. That's sort of a wild and crazy trip through all the new things that are part of version 6.2. And so I will stick around right now to answer a few questions. If you're unable to stick around, then I thank you for coming today. If you have any questions, please email me at snowling@hydromantissoftware.com, and I'd be happy to answer those for you.